Hey, coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota, we are grading Michael Busch today. His 2025 season, could next year actually be better? And are the Reds a team to worry about in the division, especially if they are serious about signing Kyle Schwarber? Spaghetti is not chili. Please, CHGO Cubs next. Say it's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by our friends at Toyota. Joey Christopoulos is back. I'm Luke Stuckmeyer. Sean Anderson is back. He's running the ones and twos. And we are here on a Wednesday, a cold one, December 3rd in Chicago. And we are the kings of baseball, Joey. The Cubs have made a move worthy of a kingdom that they have built on the north side. Scott Kingery, the minor league deal. We'll talk about that. Plus, Ken Rosenthal says the Reds are serious. The Reds are serious. I haven't heard anybody say yet that the Cubs are serious. And we are grading Michael Busch. He had a great year. Could he have a better year next year? And we're looking at what's your wish list for the winter meetings next year. It's all coming up on the CHGO Cubs podcast. But let's start with the big news that hit yesterday. Next week. What did I say?
Next year. Which would be weird to give, like, next winter meeting.
Sean, have you not been here long enough to know that you don't let the facts get in the way of a good story?
It literally Scott is in Kingery, the letterhead of the show.
Scott Kingery is the king of our kingdom.
And to be very fair, the way it keeps snowing right now, this winter is never going to end.
That's right.
So whether it is next week in Orlando or next year, it really might not matter here in Chicago right now. It will not stop snowing. But Maton, Kingery, we're just stacking them.
It has quite the ring to it, doesn't it? I could do a parody song about it.
Stacking names.
Hey, by the way, we've extended our Diehard. You want more good news, something to warm you up a little bit.
Absolutely.
Since we're sitting here just smelling Sean's pot roast lunch that he's eating behind the scenes. The Diehard deal, the super Diehard, the Black Friday deal that we put out there, which became the Cyber Monday deal, we've extended it one more day, $26 for the first year. It doesn't get cheaper than that. First year, $26. It comes with the shirt. It comes with the discounts on the merch and the events. It comes with the Diehard card. It comes with everything. Listen, at $26, if you like the new Good, Better, Best t-shirt.
Which is amazing. Already selling very well.
It's basically getting, you get that shirt for free and you get the discounts. So, come on. What are we doing?
We're doing $2. We're doing $2.17 right now, and I think the huge reason why is because the Chicago Bears are hurtling towards the playoffs. Connor Bedard is amazing, and we're going to do our damnedest here in CHGO Cubs to get the Chicago Cubs somehow back into the playoff mix next year after winning 92 games. So we just want you guys all in the fold to hang out with us in the Discord lounge, get a free T-shirt while you're at it, and for $2.17 a month, hot damn.
Let's talk about the big splash. Scott Kingery to a minor league contract. Invite to spring training. Could play second base. Could play shortstop. Could play center field. He was a negative 0.7 WAR player in 19 games for the Angels last year. His high mark was 2019 with the Phillies with a 2.7. So I ask you this. Is he this year's – are we just forgetting about Willie Castro then? We're not going to go after Willie Castro? Because that's basically the role of Willie Castro, right?
Yeah,
that's a Vidal Brujan.
This also feels very similar to like the Zach McKinstry type signing, right? Of a guy who I think that they liked. I think a guy that obviously everyone's going to name check that success from 6 years ago. But let's be honest and realistic. Like if Scott Kingery is going to come in and really do anything, he would probably come in a utility role at best, a rotation guy like Willie Castro to soak up some at-bats. And really, it'd have to be the kind of career resurgence that would be borderline cinematic. I mean, the dude just really hasn't been able to crack the big leagues for the last 5 years or so. So inviting him to camp, provide some optionality. I'm fine with it. Maybe see what else he has left in the tank. But again, you said splash, right?
Yeah.
Is this on the level of cannonball, Luke? Is this?
This is not a cannonball.
Is this like a blip?
This is taking one finger and go
a faucet drip, a little bit.
No, like, I mean, it's no offense to him. I hope he's able to do it, but like this is not he's not on the level of Willie Castro. He's not on the level of even Vidal Brujan. To be honest with you, no, he was, but that's a long time ago. Like the Cubs like a reclamation project, but this is a total gut rehab and hoping that you can sell it in the worst neighborhood.
Yeah, right. No, this is tearing apart the engine and seeing what you can get out of it. Look, no, yeah, this isn't an offense to the individual or the player, but when you are trying to analyze and even as a Cubs fan trying to earmark what you can expect and bank on in 2026 with this Cubs team, and you ask yourself the question, which we ask every day on this show, how can the Chicago Cubs get better? I just don't put Scott Kingery into the calculus, right? I mean, he'll come in, he'll compete. If he can offer up something, that's great. If at any point this season he gives you 120 to 150 at bats,
something's wrong.
And something's definitely wrong. Something definitely went wrong. And this isn't a knock on the player. This guy isn't a piece, right? And when you make when you sometimes pull up Baseball Prospectus and you pull out the key additions for the Chicago Cubs, like he just can't make the list, man. He can't make the list, right? He's going to be invited to camp. We all wish him well. He'll wear the Cubs C on his chest, so I'm going to root for the guy. But I'm not factoring this guy in. I'm not.
No, I mean, can you imagine Jed Hoyer walking into the hotel bar in Orlando here next week, not next year, saying, and guys are like, well, you need to make some moves. And he's like, we got Maton, we got Kingery, and
we're good to go.
We're good to go.
And then does a Wanstead, all the pieces are in place.
All the pieces are in place. Now, that's enough time on Kingery.
Okay.
6 minutes was plenty.
And that's all he's going to get all year. I promise you.
The Ken Rosenthal report that the Reds are serious about trying to sign Schwarber. And he does follow. The exact quote is, the Cincinnati Reds are serious about signing free agent DH Kyle Schwarber. The next sentence was, remains to be seen if they can do it, but they're serious about it. They did go to the playoffs. They weren't that far behind the Cubs. He is from Middleton, Ohio, which is like 35, 40 minutes away from Cincinnati. Could they handle 5 years, 150, 145? Of course they could. But if you drop Kyle, let's just say they're serious and they're going to bid just slightly less, like let's say it's like a couple million less than the Phillies. Would he consider going home and playing in Cincinnati? I don't know, but we'll find out. Like most people like to go home. It sure would be cheaper to live in Cincinnati than it would be to live in Philadelphia, right? So like that part of it plays, maybe if you care about that at all, but if you drop him in that lineup with Elly De La Cruz and the pitching that they have a surplus of guys.
In that ballpark too.
In that ballpark, he will hit 65 home runs.
Right.
He'll be right there with Judge. And if you drop him in that lineup, I'll say it, the Reds are as good as the Cubs. They're as good as the Cubs. They might have more certainty than the Cubs, to be honest with you. They've got more guys in their rotation that I think, wow, that could have a really high. So I think they'd be better than the Cubs with Schwarber.
So like if
the Cubs do nothing and they add Schwarber, oof.
So I would say that the Cubs would still have more depth than the Cincinnati Reds. But having said that, if you did the let's build a team, like a Build-A-Bear. Mm-hmm. If you did a Build-A-Team, and if you looked at ace pitcher, I think you could have a very compelling debate that maybe Hunter Green is further along or maybe more capable than Cade Horton is right now in his career.
Yes.
If you did premier slugger, Kyle Schwarber would easily clear that mark over any person that's currently on the Cubs.
Superstar player.
Right. And if you played the uber ultra athlete, you would have a pretty compelling debate between Elly De La Cruz and Pete Crow Armstrong.
I think most people would take Elly De La Cruz.
Right. And that would be very fair. So and they have a veteran manager in Terry Francona who has a very long track record of turning franchises around and creating 3, 4, 5 year windows of high-end competition.
And you know what he's saying to his front office right now? Go get me Schwarber. He will change our clubhouse. He will lead our clubhouse with me into the future.
So, in entertaining that concept, where it's when we say journeyman or we talk about like the yeoman's career, like it's Kyle Schwarber, but it's the exact opposite. It's almost like he's traveling from town to town. There's this old movie called Charles Bronson movie called Hard Times. Have you ever seen it?
No.
The dude literally walks from town to town. And he enters into these back alley brawls, and he doesn't leave the town until he's beaten up everybody and walks out of the town. It's almost like Kyle Schwarber's career and what he creates from a legendary status. He comes to Chicago, becomes a legend there. He goes to Boston, becomes a legend there. He goes to Philadelphia, and he damn sure is a legend there now. What could he do on the legend scale in Cincinnati by coming home, if you said hitting 60 home runs? Having said all that, I think this is BS. I think this is the Phillies are trying to engage and trying to secure Kyle Schwarber. I think the numbers, there was a report that they're not close or far away enough on a deal. So what accelerates those sometimes? By dropping a little carrot like the Cincinnati Reds. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to because they're an NL Central rival. Use them as a pawn to maybe get the Kyle Schwarber dollars and years that he wants from the team that he wants, and maybe it is the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't understand for the life of me why it isn't the Chicago Cubs. I think if you really wanted to kick the tires on getting a deal done, I think could Kyle Schwarber return to the Cubs? I think that gets a deal done really quick because I think other teams think of that as more legitimate than him coming back to the Reds. Do you legitimately believe Kyle Schwarber would consider?
Went back to the Reds.
It's true. Did it work out?
It did.
Yeah.
I would say it did.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just think that possibly going into last season, I thought the Reds were the biggest challenge to the Cubs.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to be a bigger challenge than the Brewers. Now, the Brewers proved me wrong. But the Reds, after starting out slowly, all of a sudden kept creeping up. And when I thought that going into last season, it was not because they had made some massive signing. It was because all of their good young talent was another year older. And it was like, man, if they put this together, they could be dangerous in the division. And they got to the postseason. But if you add, like I said, you add Schwarber, you have not one superstar on your team. You have two in De La Cruz. And you may have a superstar in your rotation. And you may have a bunch of other guys that are 1A, 1B, 1C. So if it's true, I just say be a little afraid. Be a little concerned at the Cincinnati Reds. Could you imagine? I mean, there's a lot worst case scenario for the Cubs if he goes there.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, and we're going to talk about the winter meetings that are coming next week, right? And I think as a Cubs fan, I think other people are starting to hit that frustration point in that level, and I think that there is maybe a little agita and maybe a little fear, right? That look, you can on paper look more talented than the Milwaukee Brewers, but they've proven year after year that they tend to win more games than the Chicago Cubs. I don't think you want to start playing that game of a talent versus talent on paper with the Cincinnati Reds also. The last thing that you want to do. And it is so antithetical, again, to the idea that the Cubs should be just running over this division every single year. And even if the Reds went out and got Kyle Schwarber, it still shouldn't be enough because the Cubs are going to outspend you.
That's right.
And they're going to have more depth because they have the money to spend. And they are the ones that are in the division capable of bringing in elite talent. Mm-hmm. They have yet to proven that to this point, and we're growing more skeptical by the day that they actually will end up doing that. But I'm not going to sit here and believe that Kyle Schwarber to the Reds is a serious thing quite yet, but it is a rumor that is tantalizing enough to get you a little nervous.
I just know nobody's mentioning Schwarber to the Cubs. Nobody.
Which is crazy.
Nobody.
What happened? What happened there?
What do you mean what happened? Why are you so surprised? Hoyer came out and said they're spending on pitching.
Okay.
No, but I'm asking you, why are you surprised that there's
and here's the other part too, and I was going to get into this later, but you're bringing it up now, which is a good point. I'm surprised because just like the bullpen with Jed Hoyer, he's gotten very consistent or very casual saying, I can turn over my best left-handed hitter every single year. He did it with Cody Bellinger 2 years ago, and then he was willing to do it the year afterwards and then ended up bringing him back at the last second and kind of at the end of the day knew that he had to put someone in that place. Last offseason, he literally said, I have to replace Cody Bellinger, and did it with Kyle Tucker. If Kyle Tucker is not coming back here, I would think that the mantra would have to continue. I don't know why in 2022 you spend a ton of money on Seiya, Dansby, and Tyone, and then in the next 2 years you bring in a guy like Cody Bellinger, and last year you sign a guy like Matthew Boyd, and then you win 92 games and go to an NLDS, and now all of a sudden those types of players are even going to be offered or thought about, and that's the part that that's the part I don't understand.
Owen Casey hits lefty. Let's take a break.
He does, and that may be the way the Cubs are leaning. All right. Or they may be trading him to somebody for some of that frontline pitching.
Possible.
We'll talk about more. Plus, we're grading Michael Busch. We're going to talk about Matthew Boyd. We're going to talk about the winter meetings. But first, a word from our sponsors here at the CHGO Cubs podcast, presented by Toyota.
Hey, Cubs fans, our friends at Sunnyside Dispensary are here to elevate your football season. Sunnyside, it's your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection right now. They have over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. You can go as far down south as Champaign or as far north as South Beloit. Stop into the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff. And right now, if you head to their website, they have bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases if you use the code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. For returning customers, you can use code CHGO50. Exclusions apply. Remember, Sunnyside Dispensary, bright buys every day. You must be 21 plus or older, or you must be an Illinois medical card holder. But it's Sunnyside, the place to go, whether it's the north of Illinois or the south of Illinois. All locations everywhere.
Put a little sun back into your life when it's cold.
Just relax, man.
Toyota-thon is on. Get your Toyota while the getting's good. Score value on the versatile RAV4. That is America's #1 selling vehicle. Ride with Tacoma, our rugged weekend warrior, or hit the road with Camrys available. All-wheel drive. Well, the roads were slippery the other day. Oof. Red hot savings are ready for you at Toyota-thon. Visit your Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. And what a time it is in the history of our world, in the history of our planet and our solar system, to become a CHGO Diehard. Correct. Right now, we've extended it one more day, by the way. The super
that was
deal
nice
right
of us.
now, $26 for the first year. $26 for the first year. Is that a deal or what? Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge. Don't forget the Diehard card. Go to ALLCITY for the latest information on how you can join our Diehard community. Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast, presented by our friends at Toyota. That Diehard deal, 67% off right now. Woo. 67%.
I might have bought something yesterday.
What'd you buy?
The good, better, best.
Oh, you went good, better, best?
I went for the pre-sale, 100%.
Oh, wow.
You didn't
they
even
have it in a hoodie or a shirt.
Oh,
you didn't even use your employee discount?
It's like $5, and I want it right now. I might use the employee discount on the hoodie.
That's an employee right there. That's a company man right there.
It's just 50%.
I'm also still a Diehard member, so take that. Because I've been one the last 3 years.
I see that in our chat, some people don't like that Matthew Boyd will be pitching in the World Baseball Classic. Just came out within the last hour on the Foul Territory podcast. Boyd says he's going to pitch for Team USA. He's the one that floated it out to his people and said, I would like to do this. And D-Row calls him up and says, we're in. Are you in? He's in. He said, anytime, listen, I'm playing a game for a living. To summarize what he said on the podcast, I'm playing a game for a living, and anytime you can represent your country, it's a special thing. I want to do it. What's the negative to it?
Well, the negative, and we've seen it in the comments, is a guy who we did a lot of shows and a lot of segments on him about him racking up innings. Mm-hmm. I think there was a moment in September where we were having conversations of should they back off of him? Should they kind of look out for the pitch count a little bit? Is he going to run out of gas? He's never done this before. On and on and on, et cetera, et cetera. So obviously when you ramp up earlier than normal and then compete for a World Baseball Classic that clearly he is very passionate about representing his country for, as he should, which means he's going to probably go out there and give it his all to the capacity that he's able to at that point in spring training, you worry about him either running out of gas or not staying healthy for the beginning or other part of the season. I kind of want to zag on that a little bit, where maybe this is just him right now and maybe this is just him in December. But him saying yes to this right now, I think internally, I think he's feeling the healthiest that he's ever felt in probably 4 or 5 years. And I think that not only did he make an all-star team last year, not only did he have a couple great outings in the postseason for the Cubs, I think he's trying to seize this moment in his life when sometimes you just kind of know that, like, this is kind of it. This is everything I've ever asked for.
This is his last chance to pitch for Team USA.
Yeah, and everything that I've ever worked hard for in my life, I'm kind of getting it right now. I'm successful on the mound. I'm getting paid great money. My family's happy. I'm in this great city. I'm on a winning team, and now I get to pitch and represent my country for the USA. Like, I don't think that he would push hard for it if he was saying to himself, man, I pitched so many innings this year. How am I going to do that again? Or, whoa, I really kind of pushed it to the limit there. I think it's kind of a signal that I think physically he feels awesome right now. So
yeah, I'm with you. First of all, I don't think I guess you can as a team because it's a business. You can say don't do it, but this is a really hard one. And I know he could get injured, but he could get injured in a Cactus League game.
100%.
Like the arm could get sore.
Javier Assad.
He's going to prepare knowing he's going to that. And you have to know that Mark DeRosa also realizes I can't pitch guys the way they're pitched in a regular season game or in the postseason. He's aware of that. Mark DeRosa knows what's going on. And I will ask you this. Did Ohtani have a bad season after he pitched in the World Baseball Classic?
He did not. He did all right.
Did Javier Assad have a bad season after he pitched in the World Baseball Classic?
No, he was better for it that 2 years ago.
Okay, so like I understand why everyone is worried, including me, that Matthew Boyd's arm won't bounce back like it was last year. But I don't think raising the level of competition or the intensity of the competition early on is actually going to do it. He just has to start ramping up earlier. And he also has to know what his limits, and his manager has to know it. But I don't know of anybody that played in the World Baseball Classic and then tanked because they were injury-riddled.
Or all of a sudden in July where, like, they had some crazy dead arm that you can directly relate back to it. And to your point also, I think Mark DeRosa's not, there's nobody going out there throwing 100 pitches. Like, you're right.
No.
And if you're Matthew, and honestly, if we start looking at the formation and the shape of the roster of the WBC when it does finally happen, I don't think he's going to be a guy that, like, they're going to be leaning heavily on.
No.
I could see him coming in for 1 or 2 innings in some crucial moments. We've talked about it before. Matthew Boyd is a guy that can come out of the bullpen. He can start a game. He has that versatility and that experience. So I think he's a worthy add to the American team. I'm not going to freak out about it. And maybe there's just sometimes, like, sometimes when you put on that heavy workload, maybe you find a routine that really works for you. And there's a part of me that thinks his confidence right now has something to do with how confident he is in his routine to get him physically ready for a season, which also gives me optimism that him mentally right now thinks that he's going to have a huge year next year.
We're also not asking the guy to play a football game against another country.
Correct.
We're asking him to throw. And I realize throwing a baseball at that level is not the easiest thing on the body, but he would be doing it in Cactus League action anyways. All right. Let's get to our guy, Michael Busch.
Yes.
Yesterday, I want to ask you this. I want to follow up yesterday's podcast with Justin was here. I asked, is Nico Hoerner pound for pound the most complete player on the Cubs? A, your thoughts on that. B, where does Michael Busch fit into the conversation?
It's great. That's a great question. It's a good conversation. I think when you say pound for pound and when you say the word complete.
Yeah, that it's semantics. It's whatever you want it to mean.
So I kind of immediately drill into the cliche of baseball player. Like the guy that can do it all.
Here's how I described it to Justin. In the way I looked at it and answered the question. It's not necessarily your best player.
Right.
It's not your most talented player. Complete player to me is somebody that does almost everything really well. Mm-hmm. Now, the only way you could knock Nico out of that conversation is to say power. He doesn't have power. But does he do everything it's the kid in high school basketball or in middle school that you look at on a basketball court and said, man, that kid can dribble, that he's a smooth shooter. If he were 4 inches taller, he'd be all state in a couple years, but he's not going to be. So he's just going to be a good basketball player, but he's the wrong size.
Well, right. And also, he's also the quarterback, and he also is the pitcher.
That's right.
And you know what I mean? Like, or he's the shortstop on the team.
Yes.
So, like, when we're talking about this, if I can put them into their own little groups or whatever, I think Seiya Suzuki is our most talented offensive hitter. I think Michael Busch is our most complete offensive player. Maybe not as talented, but I do
Even though he doesn't face one side yet.
Well,
that's not his fault.
We'll get into that in a moment. But when we talk about complete pound-for-pound baseball player, I think Nico Hoerner gets the award for that one. I think Pete Crow Armstrong is going to have something to say about that in the next 2 or 3 years. But right now, when you talk about defense, when you talk about clutch, when you talk about consistency, because this was a guy that every single day gave you something. Every time he went out there, the way he runs the bases, the way he plays the game, the way he cares. I think the relationships that he has in the dugout. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think right now Nico Hoerner is the most complete pound-for-pound baseball player on the Chicago Cubs right now.
I think there are 3.
And it should be Dansby, by the way, but it isn't. Just based on contract, you know what I mean? Like, they signed Dansby to be that pound-for-pound complete player. I think that's what they were maybe potentially
Listen, there are guys,
for.
Dansby and Happ fallen into a different conversation. It's the consistency offensively that is their knock. Nico's knock is the power. Busch's knock is that he doesn't face both sides yet. Not his fault. PCA's knock is the consistency. I think you could have a totally different name at the top of that list after next season.
Yes.
Very easily. But right now, at this very moment, I would say Nico is the most complete player. He just doesn't have the power.
And to be very fair, really quickly, I would have said Kyle Tucker, but Kyle Tucker is currently not on the Chicago Cubs.
Right.
But if this was 3 months ago and we're having the conversation, I still would say Kyle Tucker pound for pound.
Busch is in the conversation. For his offensive grade, I went A-. And maybe, again, it's the same knock on the complete player. It's not his fault. But everything Michael Busch did offensively said A, screamed A. Whether it was the regular season or the postseason, he exceeded all of my expectations. The year before that, he exceeded all of my defensive expectations. But this year was all of my offense expectations. So I can only knock him down to an A-, and I'm not really knocking him down. It's a chance of opportunity. If he were to have the same season in 2026, but counsel says, you're every day. There is no platoon. I'm not putting you in the best matchups. You have to prove that you can do it all the time now. Well, then he's an A. That's not even a question. But when I compare him to all the first basemen in the National League and in Major League Baseball, some of them are facing not a platoon situation. So I just take a little half grade and I say, hey, here's the carrot. Make your manager confident that you can do it, and you deserve that. A-. And
it's a tough conversation to have because 87 plate appearances last year facing left-handed pitching.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if you bundle all those together, that's maybe 20-ish games, tops. Hit 207. Slugging percentage 386. Not good numbers. Oh. But again, only 87 plate appearances. Like, I don't know. Then you start getting into sample size.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just say he can never hit left-handed pitching because then you all of a sudden start getting into, well, is that enough to actually give him a run to see if he can actually conquer that demon or exercise it or whatever that is? So that's the part that that's where I'm curious about in 2026 is would they let him work through it a little bit? And even after those 87 plate appearances, he's only still hitting 207. Will they still just have the confidence to say, look, man, like, we're going to keep running you out there because we think that you at very least can give us league average from that side because on the other side versus right-handed pitching, 910 OPS.
All right, Joey's grade is coming up. We're going to take a quick break. I asked this as we head to break. How can you get better at something if you're not getting the opportunity to try it? Let me know in the chat. But first, a word from our sponsors here at the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Winter is here, especially in Studio C, not for Cubs, for cold. Is your heating up to the challenge? Is your furnace ready? It's not at CHGO today, so we're going to call our friends at Four Seasons, because if you're thinking about a whole home generator or a tune-up on that nice furnace, they've got you covered. At Four Seasons, they guarantee same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, and generator needs. No extra charge for weekends, nights, or holidays. You can save up to $4,000 on furnaces and comfort systems. With Four Seasons heating, cooling, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric, their furnaces start at $39 a month. AC furnace combos at $57 a month. Call today. You can save $50. Four Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric has been serving our area for more than 50 years. There are trusted local experts. Four Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. Warm yourself up. Don't wait.
Speaking of that, Luke, at this rate, winter looks like it's going to last for the next 25,000 years. But the future is still bright, right? And you got to be prepared for that moment. And what is that moment? The moment when you forget your favorite shades or sunglasses at the beach, on the road, on the top of your car. Been there before. Well, now I found Shady Rays, and they completely changed the game for me. These sunglasses, they're made for real life. They're seriously good looking. They're polarized. They are durable and not stupidly expensive. And here's the best part. When you do forget those sunglasses on the top of your car, Shady Rays will replace them with no guilt trip at all. They'll just offer you replacements. So now I can actually wear my sunglasses with confidence and style. Ooh, thinking about that summer with my sweet Shady Rays. So here's what we got to do. We've teamed up with Shady Rays for an exclusive offer. If you head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO, 35% off polarized sunglasses. So try it now. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota, we are grading Michael Busch. I went A- on offense, so your grade, Joey, is?
Lockstep. Also going A-.
Oh, look at that.
Hey, what are you going to say? Sorry, Godfather. I mean,
you thought Timberlake was in sync. Look at us.
Take that, Justin Roman's VI3.
Yes.
Because here comes
we're in sync.
L&J boy band. Well, look, I know Godfather was giving us a hard time in the chat that we're giving away easy grades. I think another part about it was we put all the bad players we wanted, or we put all the players we want to criticize kind of at the front, and we're sort of waiting to give you the best for last. And this is Michael Busch. He was absolutely fantastic this year. Across Major League Baseball, with a 141 WRC plus, that was 9th in baseball, sandwiched right in between Pete Alonso and Freddie Freeman, who were Silver Slugger finalists, and we did that on the show before. In terms of slugging, 523, 13th in baseball. In terms of home runs, 34, 15th in baseball. So however you want to slice it, at least from a power perspective, the dude is a top 15 hitter in baseball. And that is a great thing to have. We were so elated and excited when Kyle Tucker came over because every single metric said he was an 8, 9, 10 best player in baseball. Well, Michael Busch has worked himself at least into that conversation. And I personally think steamer productions be damned. I think the best is still yet to come from him. What's fascinating about Michael Busch is a couple of things. One, I'm going to take the L on this one. I think we've done it on the show before, was when the offense went awry. I said, should we move Michael Busch out of the leadoff spot? Should we put Ian Happ in there? Did pretty good for himself from the leadoff spot this year, hitting 241 slashing, 311 on base percentage, not that great, but love that band. 553 slug, 6 leadoff home runs, and a 977 OPS in the first inning of games. So the guy gave you a pop and a jolt right off of the jump. Pre-All-Star break /290, 375 on base, 550 slug for a 925 OPS. Struggled a little bit more in the after the All-Star break, but which Chicago Cub didn't? Hit only 223, but had a 487 slug. And then obviously in September, when he jacked that WRPS right up the map, 971 OPS, 6 home runs, 6 doubles, and just a 634 slug. A stat that I always love. And we always shout out Nico Horner for it, 292 with runners in scoring position. So, look, this guy is a player who I think was a little mysterious to Cubs fans when he got traded for Jackson Ferris. The story was that the Dodgers had a surplus at a position because they signed Freeman. We'll take your leftovers, which you love so very much. This guy has turned himself into an all-star caliber player. And offensively, the question is now, and the hope, right, is what I'm worried about is that the Cubs are saying, we're fine because Michael Busch now just takes care of the offense that's going to be subtracted by Kyle Tucker. But who takes care of the offense that Michael Busch already had on the team?
That's right.
But he's an A- offensive player for me, a really great season. Can't wait to watch the guy next year because I think his best days are still ahead of him.
One of the reasons I love Michael Collada, the godfather of the CHGO Cubs podcast, who always says we stinks. He says, let's review so far. He never lets the facts get in the way of a good story. Let's review so far. Everybody got an A or B last year, 90% A and B. Show me the grades. Let me tell you, because I know that we started right at the top with
Jed, nope. Craig, nope. No. Shota, nope.
Yeah, so it
Dansby, rough.
He follows my number one rule. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Wise.
And here's, Busch, he was so good in the postseason that the Brewers were doing anything they could to face him less times.
They were terrified.
He was the only guy in the lineup. They were like, ooh, he can't face this Michael Busch guy anymore. They literally came out and said that. We don't want to face Busch more than we have to. Now, defense, I strictly went with the eyeball test. I have no stats to back this up, so facts not in the way of a good story. There are no facts. It's just my eyeballs. It's just the way it felt watching the game. I went a B. That makes Michael Collada happy, but it probably doesn't make some people happy. I don't know if his stats were better than that defensively or worse. There were some plays where I said, I dropped the ball at first enough times where I didn't think he was worthy of an A defensively. The stats you may look at the stats and tell me differently. I'll just say I was more impressed with him offensively than I was defensively. And the year before, as I mentioned, was the opposite. A B is still a great grade. I would take a B any day in school.
Yeah, Godfather, what grade offensively would you give for Michael Busch? He hit 6 hits in 8 postseason games and hit 4 bombs, man. I mean, like, of all the players in the lineup.
He wants a D for Busch.
Yeah, of all the players that deserves one, like, we're doing this segment on the guy that deserves one. Defensively, again, I think this is another great story where we're seeing a player evolve and ascend right before our very eyes. When this trade came over, he had a lot of experience playing third base and second base and a little bit at first. I think it was a move that the Chicago Cubs felt confident about defensively, but I don't think they were saying, like, this guy's going to be a surefire lock-in. I think he's done a lot of work at that position. And I'm just thinking from 2024 to this year, 2025, I've seen massive strides in terms of what he's been able to do in the scoop game over there. I think he's been really solid. I think the hands have just gotten a little bit softer, a little bit more touch over there. And he's an athlete. And I think he's exactly what you want to have at first base. Will he ever win a Gold Glove? I don't know. But when we talk about and we compliment and we laud and we always wear on our chest that we have the best middle infield in baseball and Matt Shaw is a Gold Glove finalist, someone's got to catch the ball over there. It's the same thing that we do with pitchers. Like, we give the pitchers all the credit. Catcher deserves a little bit of that too as well. And you talk about Dansby and Nico turning that double play over there. Matt Shaw, the type of plays that he made over there, again, that confidence that Matt Shaw has, that I can scoop it, get the ball off really quickly, and I can get it there on a hop or wherever it is. I know Michael Busch is going to go out there and have my back and catch that baseball, whatever it is. I think it's that subconscious confidence that I think really goes a long way. So I gave him a B+ for defense, just because I think he's been a guy that's come a long way at that position. I've had the conversation before of, would he be better off as a second baseman? You move him out. Will he ever have the power to profile at the first base position? I think that conversation, at least for me and anywhere else, that should be silenced. I think he's a first baseman with 30 home run power that can maybe be a Gold Glove finalist one day, and if not, just a tick right below that. So, I mean, this has been a great find for Jed Hoyer. It really has. It's been a fantastic trade.
Even if the prospects, as Corey mentions, turn out to be great for the Dodgers. Like, I understand that Zaire Hope is number 2 overall and Jackson Ferris is number 6 overall. But if you can take 2 prospects and trade them for an everyday player that's all-star worthy, one of the best hitters, and he's team controllable, you make that deal.
Yeah.
with those results, knowing those are happening 100
and look,
out of 100.
And that's the price of doing business.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the game, right? Like, but good for them. That's great. But when you make a trade, whoever ends up on the Chicago Cubs, that has to succeed. Mm-hmm. That's what makes it a winning trade for Cubs fans. Michael Busch has been a complete win for the Chicago Cubs to this point, where I think that he's a guy that should be in line for an extension, a guy that I think should be on this team for the next 5 or 6 years, and a guy that no matter what happens when the clouds part in 2027 should be a part of the core for the Chicago Cubs. I'm glad for Zaire Hope and Jackson Ferris, but that's the price of doing business. You just want to make sure that that price, when you do that business, is a price that makes sense for you. And with Michael Busch, the price has been right. Boom.
You traded.
That was
you traded Joe Carter to go get Rick Sutcliffe.
Yes.
Joe Carter turned out to be a really good player, but Sutcliffe won a Cy Young and almost got you to the World Series.
Worth it.
It was worth it.
Worth it.
All right. So your defensive grade was what?
B+.
B+. All right. It's a little bit better than me. My overall grade for Michael Busch is the same as his offense, A-. I bump up from the, you might look at that and say, well, how does that math work? An A- and a B, shouldn't it be a B+? And I say, well, he's the one guy that I can stand and say, this guy was spectacular in the postseason. And you've got to give that a little more value when he helped carry you in the postseason offensively. And so I knock him up to the A- again because, like I said, the Brewers were flat out afraid of him. And he made us jump off the couch and out of the chairs multiple times in the postseason. And he got hot at the right time. Now, those all might be luck. They all might be coincidence, whatever you want to call them. But overall, if I had to grade Michael Busch, it wasn't a perfect season because he didn't get to face both sides of the ball.
Yes.
But again, not his fault. An A- is nothing to sneeze at, and it's the only thing keeping him from a perfect A.
No, also A- for Michael Busch this year as well for me. I mean, I think that's the highest grade I'm probably giving out to any Cub this year, and I think he completely deserves it. This is a guy who I just think keeps getting better, and I'm excited to see where it goes. And Sean, if you wouldn't mind, I'll tee you up for this because I just want you to weigh in on something. When I went to Baseball Savant and started digging around and everything, you look at some stuff and you say, this guy is getting better as a hitter. He's always had a good control of the zone, but his K rate went from 28% down to 23%. My question for you, Sean, is when you look at sometimes a hitter's profile, is there something that you look at specifically? Is it barrel percentage? Is it whatever it is it exit velocity? Because if you look at it, his bat speed is only in the 15th percentile. But if you go to his barrel percentage and if you go to his exit velocity 92.2, if you go to his barrel percentage, it's the 85th percentile. So Sean, like for you, does the swing speed in the 15th percentile, does that bother you at all if everything else is wildly in the red?
It doesn't massively bother me. I would have to do more actual diving into his bat speed on pulled fly balls, because that's the thing that sticks out when you go to plate discipline. No, I'm sorry. That's what sticks out when you go to batted ball profile. You could look at the air stat, which is fly balls plus line drives plus pop-ups. He, in the past 2 years, 61.2%, 63.8%. You love to see those numbers. And the MLB averages 55.8%. So he's, about 7-ish, 8-ish points above Major League average. You look at his ground ball rate, 36.2%, Major League average, 44.2%. So he keeps the ball on a very, very nice level. Yeah. So everything is a line drive, everything's a fly ball. So I at least like that. And I'm assuming that he probably, if he's got 30 plus homer pop, he's pulling everything in the air very, very fast.
I just found that strange. Like, he hits the ball hard, he barrels it up all the time, he hits the ball in the air, he has 34 home runs, but his bat speed was in like the lower percentile. That was the only one that stuck out to me that was like, I wonder what that is. Now, when they talk about Kyle Tucker, they're like, well, his bat speed went down, but he's such a feel hitter kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like, so maybe there's something that goes into that. Because when you watch Michael Busch at the plate, like, his swing, like, really doesn't change. And it is a nice, beautiful, like, swing with this nice little launch angle lift to it. But the bat speed was lower than I thought.
Going into last season, I think it was not super easy to pick who was going to lead the team in home runs. Some people would have said Tucker. Some people would have said Seiya. A few might have said Michael Busch. I don't think anybody said PCA going into last season. But next year, unless they sign Schwarber, or Eugenio Suarez, the obvious answer will be Michael Busch.
Right.
He'll be the obvious answer. By the way, this is totally off topic, but I saw Cole Wright over at Marquee put out his, I don't know if it was his predicted or his wish list for the Cubs lineup next year. It had Nico at the top. It had Gino Suarez at third base.
Okay.
And it had Cody Bellinger down there again in the outfield. So
segment for another day, but I don't know how I don't know how I feel about the Cody Bellinger thing. I don't know. Bringing him back 2 years later, he goes to the Yankees, gets some of that sweet right field porch, comes back in. I mean, he's a professional hitter. He puts together a professional at bat.
He would help you feel better about not having Tucker in the lineup.
He would, because the question that I was about to ask you was, and that's funny that Cole Wright has Nico at the top of the lineup. So next year, right, just as it stands today before the winter meetings, as we barrel towards it this weekend starting Sunday, if you have Michael Busch penciled in as your number 1 hitter, and if you have Seiya Suzuki penciled in as your number 2 hitter, as it stands right now, what the hell does the 3-4-5 look like for the Chicago Cubs?
Yeah, we don't know.
Right? What is that?
You really hope that somebody like Dansby is much further down the lineup.
Dansby has to be back third. And I would like Carson Kelly to be back third as well. And you would like to think Matthew Shaw probably comprises that. So that might be your 7, 8, 9 right there. So are you telling me you're going to run Ian Happ out in the 3 spot for 450 at-bats next year? I'd like to think PCA somewhere is in that 4, 5, 6 range. I don't think Pete Crow Armstrong is a number 3 hitter just yet in his career. So if you got Busch hitting leadoff, say as your 2, who's hitting in the middle of this order right now? Yeah. I get it. We need starting pitching, but like when you start to drill in on it, there are some major questions about supplementing some of the production that you bring up all the time that Kyle Tucker brought to the table last year.
In the first half.
Right, and that Cody Bellinger really brought to the table in the second half of 2023 and to a moderate level in 2024.
Yeah, you can't just say the offense is fine.
No.
So that's when they go into the winter meetings, I know that they're going to focus on pitching, but you can't look at the offense and say it's fine. You took a guy that was in the MVP race in the first half of the season when you were actually one of the 3 best teams at least in baseball, and you're taking him out of it with Tucker gone. That's what you have to replace. You don't have to replace the Tucker that was in the postseason because that was a nothing.
Yeah.
And where did that get you? Nowhere. That doesn't count. You want to be one of the 3 best teams in baseball, you got to replace the guy that was there at the All-Star break.
I think from an offensive perspective, unless you really are going to be this starting pitching empire and you're going to win every game 2-1, you really need to collect in your offense, in my opinion, a minimum of 3 guys with an OPS over 800. And it would be great if you had 4 of them. Seiya is an 800-plus OPS type player. Michael Busch is an 800 OPS type player. Ian Happ has sniffed at it before, but really he's more like in a good year, 740, 760, maybe even a 780 type guy. And Pete Crow Armstrong through the first half of the year was an 800-plus OPS player. Not guaranteed, though, for next year with that on-base percentage that continues to hover around 30 to 31%. So I still think they're kind of short of that impact bat on the offensive side of the ball.
All right, so that takes us to the winter meetings. You said A- too?
A-, correct.
Overall.
And he deserves it. I love rooting for Michael Busch.
Okay, so the winter meetings start this weekend, technically, Sunday, okay? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, basically goes on the first part of the week. I believe it's Orlando this year. What do we want to happen there? A lot of people think there's some years where the winter meetings just nothing happens. We went to the one in Nashville, and every day we kept thinking, this is the day the Cubs are going to do something, and it never happened. Never happened. We left, and nothing happened for the Cubs the whole time they were at the winter meetings. Other years, lots can happen, right? Carlos Pena gets signed, or whatever it might be. What's going to happen this year? What's on your wish list for the winter meetings? We both would, I think, agree. The top of the wish list, probably unrealistic, is Kyle Schwarber for me. Like, Cease's gone. Schwarber is the top of the wish list.
Sorry, I'm not going to stop talking about
Schwarber on the Cubs is the number one thing on the wish list. So I don't know how much we need to say about it. I think most of the city hopes that's what's going to happen. I think Cubs fans around the country, around the world, hope Schwarber's coming back. I don't know that the front office is really in for that type of dining experience.
Would it help their marquee programming if Kyle Schwarber was?
Of course it would.
Okay.
Of course it would. Would it mean better ratings on marquee? Yes. And what would help marquee ratings the most would be having the best team in baseball.
Could they do packages on it? Could they do a Kyle Schwarber comes home 1 hour special and literally just run highlights of the time that he got drafted, and then he came back and got hurt, and then came back in the World Series, and now
walking up the stairs in Cleveland. Yes, all of it.
It hits other quadrants beyond on-field baseball stuff too, as well. That's the part that like it blows my mind. Of like, he's an incredible player that hit 56 home runs. He has playoff experience. He's a legendary guy. He's a great clubhouse leader. But off the field, he hits other quadrants too, as well. Like when you talk about ROI and you talk about spending money dollar for dollar. It's just, we should start a GoFundMe for Schwarber. Chef Kevin Miner, thanks for jumping in the chat, man.
We've thought
whatever
about
it takes.
We've thought about it.
What needs to happen?
Okay, so outside of Schwarber, because we know that's the wish list for anybody who's sane. I saw one that same Ken Rosenthal article that was talking about Schwarber being, the Reds actually being serious about trying to get Schwarber. Mm-hmm. He mentioned another name in there, and it was Bo Bichette. And I thought the one thing that was interesting about it that I hadn't really thought about before was that of all the hitters that are out there that are available, right? Possibly Pete Alonso and Schwarber. Alonso was, I think, number 2 on this list. But Bichette brings something that the other guys don't. He batted .448 against 97 miles an hour and higher last year. A .516 WOBA against 97 miles an hour or higher. He hits all kinds of pitches, but he loves to hit heat. And the league has gone almost exclusively slider and gas, right? Like
yes.
Heat. Playoffs, all you were seeing was 99, 101, 102, 103. He hits it. So if you're really serious, are you willing to, and it's not that we haven't mentioned this before, but this is for this reason. Are you willing to somehow shuffle the deck to fit Bichette in?
As your third baseman.
Yeah, is it totally crazy? Whether he's the third baseman, or is it totally crazy to say to yourself, listen, we're going to have a longer-term contract. We can have a few more years of Dansby, or we could roll the dice that the defense won't be as good with Bichette, but we're going to get more consistent power against the hard-hitting. I mean, the numbers aren't, but would you take that player and make that gamble on him? Would you take the gamble on saying, we love Nico, or is that our favorite player? He's the most complete player.
I mean, let's put it up to the Pepsi challenge of what I just said. Let's see if it passes the smell test, shall we?
I don't think so.
I mean, so here's the deal. 2021 OPS over 800, 2022 OPS over 800, 2023 OPS over 800, 2024 got hurt, had that really crazy down year. Everyone's like, oh my God, what's going on with Bo Bichette? Huge bounce back last year with an OPS over 840. So yeah, he passes that. We need another guy like that in that lineup. And just some of the other small stuff that I pulled up really quick. In 46 games after the All-Star break, before he got hurt, slash line, not making this up, 370, 423 on base percentage, 584 slug for a 989 OPS with 19 doubles, 6 home runs, and 41 RBIs in 46 games played. We love to talk about Nico Horner and his runners in scoring position. 381 with runners in scoring position last year with Bo Bichette. Not saying that that is who he is, but a 46 game is a nice long stretch of excellent, elite, offensive, powerful baseball, right? That just lets you know of what the bar of what his potential can be, not what the norm is. And yeah, like I would be interested.
So and if I would be interested, I just don't know how they're going to do it.
Would you be more interested in him or Alex Bregman? I think that's probably the question.
I'd actually be more interested in Bichette.
A little bit younger.
Yeah, and you know what he reminds me of is his dad.
Yeah, the swing isn't that different.
Dad really became a star player when he got to the Rockies.
Yep.
Put Bo Bichette in Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
He's a star now, but you put him in Wrigley Field.
Oh, we would love him. And for a right-handed hitter, maybe
hitting Bo nose.
Yeah, hitting bombs into the 120 club. Yeah, a Bo nose sign. That could work very well in this town. And yeah, like I think Bo Bichette might cost more money. But I do think I like him and his potential and his fit with this Cubby core that I think that they're secretly trying to build with Busch, Shaw, PCA. Bo Bichette fits in there really nicely. And the thing with Bregman is just his lower half with that quad injury. I just have some questions about lower half stability with him moving forward. So, yeah, Bo Bichette's an interesting option that I don't think that we've talked about a ton on the show. But guess what? The Cubs aren't really being talked about with anybody other than Scott Kingery these days.
That's right.
So
he's not a circle peg going into that perfect spot. You got to figure out how to move some other things around. But the Cubs have done that before.
Yeah, you could DH him on days with lefties if you wanted to give Mo Baller some more run or anything like that. But look, I'm not asking for much, but I think one of those impact-type bats needs to be added to this lineup to replace an impact bat that is being subtracted from the lineup. And when we talk about the winter meetings next week, I think the only thing that I would really, really love to have and see is to come on here, whether it's an emergency show or come back here, whether it is in Studio West, and just talk about a player of tangible importance that is being added to this Cubs team, okay?
The one down year doesn't scare me with Bichette.
It's if you look at it, it truly is it's an outlier. It's an outlier. And even the best have a couple bad months or 3 months or whatever it is. For this, obviously, Bo Bichette had an injury-riddled, terrible season that only had him play 61 games, and he wasn't good. There's no two ways about it. But the way that he bounced back this last year, I mean, he's an intriguing player.
I see that Johnny Water Ice says Dante. Yeah, Dante Bichette was great with the Rockies. By the way, who named their kid Dante? Because of Dante Bichette.
Culpepper?
Joe Girardi, teammate in Colorado, named his son Dante.
Did he really?
Yes.
He's got a son named Dante Girardi?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And in this corner, Dante Girardi.
Best friends. They were best friends. He named his son after him, Dante. Okay, so the other name that we got like 3 minutes left here, what I want on my wish list. If it's not Schwarber, then my number one thing on the wish list is Amai.
Yeah.
That's where I want to go. I want either or. I want either this frontline pitcher some way, somehow, whether that is work finally getting a trade done or signing a free agent, or I want the big bat, whatever that form may be. But you still need both of them on this team. You still got to find a bat, and you still got to find a frontline starter. The bullpen stuff, I believe they can figure out. But they cannot figure it out without those two things on this team.
How would you feel if it's like Robert Suarez at like $15 million a year, 35-year-old closer?
Not as good as I would if everybody says Amai is the best pitcher on the market.
Right. And I understand, people were like, well, why weren't the Cubs in on Helsley and all this other stuff? It's just like, I don't know why we're getting distracted here from, I think, what Jed said and what I think this team needs. This team needs high-end starting pitching, and you and I are in lockstep that they need another impact bat. So if Ryan Helsley is off the board for $14 million, I'm not gonna fight the fight that the Cubs should be able to buy whoever they want, because we know that that's not a reality. But if we are gonna say, I want to add at least two guys that have an AAV over $15-16 million, I want it to either be a starting pitcher or an impact bat. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want, and hopefully we get one of those next week at the winter meetings. Bobby Blanco jumping in the chat, super late. Way to go, man.
Someone tell Tom we will all buy at least 2 Schwarber jerseys.
One for every day of the week. I will buy
Hopefully
one.
You didn't save them, and you all want new ones.
Well, I technically already have 2 still, and my wife has a T-shirt with the Schwarber. So, but I will. No. I will buy a Monday. I'll buy a Tuesday. I'll buy a Wednesday. I'll buy a Schwarbs Day.
Powder blues.
Whatever it is. And I think it'll be worth it on the field and off.
I sure hope so. By the way, last note is that I saw the Cowboys-Chiefs on Thanksgiving drew 57 million viewers. Game 7 of the World Series.
25?
51, which I thought was actually way higher than maybe that wasn't even right because the ChatGPT gave me that.
Some might say baseball is back, but hey, let's have a work stoppage
although it was Game 7 versus a regular season game.
No, I hear that, but still, 51's a great number for baseball.
It is.
That's a great number. 10, 15 years ago, they weren't getting that with whatever, Cardinals, Astros.
Think of what that number would be with Schwarber hitting home runs in the World Series against the Yankees.
Well, for now, all we can do is dream and
I'd
hope
like to see it
until it's reality.
All right, winter meetings. As soon as the hot news starts happening, we'll have it. Corey and Brendan with the Cubs-related podcast on Thursday. They're playing me off with the music. Until then, thanks for watching.
I want to thank, and real quick, go to sleep, kids. Go to sleep.
Done.
My arm hit bump and it published it.
Sean,
so we're probably not on fast anymore.
Playing.
You're supposed to be asleep, kids.
You know what did it? It's that damn pot roast. A nice warm pot roast.
Oh, look, more food coming over here now, too.
Thanks for watching. Fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.